Imagine just for a moment disappearing into the jungle in 1944, weapon in hand, orders burning in your chest, and not emerging until 1974. Not because you were captured, not because you were lost, but because in your mind the war was still very much alive. This is the story of Hiroo Onoda, Shoichi Yokoi, and the handful of Imperial Japanese soldiers who kept fighting long after the guns fell silent. Men who turned the wilderness itself into a fortress and fieldcraft into a way of life. What they mastered out of necessity, we now study out of fascination. Welcome to Fieldcraft Chronicles. The Philippine jungle is not a passive landscape. It breathes, shifts, and threatens in equal measure. For Onoda, on Lubang Island, every tree line was a potential ambush corridor, every trail a tactical decision. He moved at night, stayed off ridgelines, and memorized the rhythm of the jungle, which birds fell silent before a patrol approached, which hours the rain came, which paths the village farmers avoided. This was intelligence gathering at its most primal, and it kept him alive for 3 decades. Modern survivalists call this situational awareness. Onoda simply called it staying alive. Fieldcraft takeaway: learning the ambient sounds and behavioral patterns of local wildlife is among the oldest forms of reconnaissance. A sudden silence in the canopy is rarely nothing. These men did not build camps. They built absences. They built absences. Onoda and his dwindling band constructed lean-to shelters pressed against the jungle floor, using broad-leafed canopy plants to break the roofline and scatter rainfall sound. Nothing protruded above the natural foliage horizon. Shoichi Yokoi, found in Guam in 1972 after hiding for 28 years, had excavated a tunnel shelter reinforced with bamboo, entirely invisible from above, naturally temperature regulated by the earth around it. He wove his own clothing from jungle fibers. These were not acts of desperation. They were acts of sophisticated patient engineering. It is with much embarrassment that I return. Sergeant Shoichi Yokoi upon discovery in 1972, after 28 years in the Guam jungle. Food and water under operational silence is a discipline few modern bushcrafters will ever truly understand. Onoda survived on coconuts, bananas and rice, raided in small quantities from local farms, always calculating the minimum necessary to leave no pattern of theft that could be tracked. He drank from streams he had observed for weeks before, trusting. Fire was an almost impossible luxury. Smoke during daylight was an invitation to discovery. Where fire was used, it burned small, hot, and briefly dried hardwood gathered far from the camp and combusted fast. Every calorie was conserved. Every action was audited against the question, does this increase or decrease my exposure? Perhaps the most remarkable fieldcraft these men demonstrated was psychological. Onoda maintained military discipline, cleaning his weapon daily, keeping a field diary, maintaining a routine, because structure was the architecture of sanity. Yokoi occupied himself with craftsmanship, weaving, trap-making, the slow perfection of subsistence. Both men held to a purpose, however tragically misplaced, that gave each day meaning. For today's preparedness community, this is the lesson that transcends any knife skill or fire-starting technique. Resilience is a practice, not a personality trait. It is built daily in small, deliberate acts. Long-duration survival is 80% psychological management. Routine, craft, and a defined sense of purpose are not comforts, they are survival tools. These ghost soldiers were, in many ways, history's most extreme survivalists. They remind us that the wilderness does not care about ideology, rank, or the date on a surrender document. It only responds to skill, patience, and adaptation. The Fieldcraft techniques Onoda and Yokoi refined over decades in camouflage, water discipline, shelter concealment, psychological endurance, are not relics of a tragic war. They are timeless knowledge, as relevant in today's world of preparedness and bushcraft as they were in the Philippine jungle in 1945. The jungle kept their secret for decades. Now it can teach you something too. If this moved you, share it with someone who values history and self-reliance. Subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles for more cinematic deep dives into the survival wisdom hidden inside history's most remarkable stories. Every episode is a lesson dressed as an adventure.